Hello, my name is Sean Greasley and welcome to Volume 3 in our C++ tutorial. Okay, we are now going to look at if statements in this tutorial, and you will learn how to deal with them, what they are, how to handle them, and why it is good to include them in your program. Okay, let's have a look. We're going to make an example of a program, so when a user enters his or her age, it will tell them whether they are a teenager, a baby, an adult, or an old member of society. Okay, let's have a look. So what we need for this example is a variable. So we're asking the user for their age, so we need a variable to put those values in. So we'll call it user's age. Remember, variables don't have spaces, you can't use C++ illegal names, and you can't put numbers before them. So that's something interesting. Okay, let's initialize it as 0. For example, if the user didn't enter a value, then we know it's set as 0 at the start, so that'll sort that out. Right, we're asking the user for their age as we did in the last example, so I'll do this quickly. What is your age? Okay. Alright. Make use of the console input function as we discussed in the last example. So we're asking them for their age and it's storing it in the user's age variable we initialized up there. Okay. Let's look at the if statement. What age would they to be a baby, do you think? I'd say less than 4 years old. Oh. So if the user's age is more than or equal to 0, nearly messed that one up. Okay, let's take a look at this. Alright, this is the layout of the if statement. You've got if, it's color coded blue, therefore it's the C++ command, which it is. After the if, it's good practice to put brackets round your statement so you know what you're dealing with and things like that. So having said that, let's put sub brackets around these so we can clearly identify what we're actually looking at here. Okay, so if the user's age is more than or equal to 0 and the user's age is less than or equal to 4, then carry out what is in this space here. As you can see, each if statement has curly braces as well as this. I'm coming back to the tab reference I made in the previous tutorial, or was it the first? To lay out your code so it's very readable, if you tab it out, you can see which lines belong to which if statement and which lines belong to the main procedure. So if we put code inside the if statement here, we'll wonder whether, where it is, and it makes it hard work when you've got an error and you're looking to either upgrade your program, fix it, or whatever you want to do with it. So remember, after your if statement, put your curly brace here, tab it out, 1 tab length, so you know that your code is inside the if statement and everything is going okay. Okay, let's just briefly go over this here. So user's age is more than or equal to 0, as I've just said, but this piece here is the AND operator, where this goes into logic gates, which I think now I'm going to discuss in the next tutorial. So I will discuss this in the next tutorial if you're unfamiliar what this means. Okay, but for the purpose of the example, just treat it as AND. Right, so I think we might want a little string in here. Okay, let's think. If the user's age is more than 0 and less than 4, he or she is a baby. So we would want a variable. An array would be better, but we'll discuss that later. So we want a variable which tells us whether it's a baby, adult, old man, or whatever you'd like. So let's see what I can put here. Person. I'll put person. And don't forget, it won't be an integer, will it? It'll be a string. But I'd really like to discuss strings in the later examples, so we're going to use the character type specifier. So let's initialize everyone as a baby. So before you use this program, you will be a baby, unfortunately. And when they've entered their age, they might be an adult or whatever. With characters, you use single quotations around them. So with strings, that means more than one character. You use speech marks. With characters, you use one speech mark. With integers, otherwise known as numbers, you just write them as they are. This applies for Visual Basic, C++, or whatever. Okay. So if the user's age is more than 0 and less than 4, person is a baby, which we know. So we don't really need that line in here. Else. Okay. This is the else command. This is the second part of the if statement. With an if, you can have an else or you can't have an else. So you can have an if statement on its own if you would like, without this piece here, or you can have an else as well. So if the user's age is more or equal to 0 and less than 4, then it's going to execute this code here. But because everyone is a baby when the program is run, we don't need this here at all. We don't really need this line, but I'll leave it in for the example. Okay, so if it's not a baby, then it's going to move to the else command here. This also needs curly braces. And let's tab it out so we know where we are. Okay. So let's copy this line. Okay. Right. So it's not a baby, so it's going to execute the else command. Inside the else command is an if statement. So if the user's age will be more than 4, or more than equal to 5, and the user's age, say, for the purpose of the example, we'll say 5 is a teenager. I know it isn't, but that's how it'll be. And 21 is known as an adult, so we're going to go for 20. Okay. So if the user's age is more than equal to 5 and it's less than equal to 20, they are a young adult. So we'll put Y for that. Okay. That is great. We can end our brace for the if statement. I can actually tell you now that if you have one line under the if statement, you don't need these braces, because it looks at the if statement, it looks at the next line, then so on. But if there's only one line of code under the if statement, you don't need these braces around it. But bear in mind, it's for one line only. Okay. So we now have the else command. Nicely tabbed out here. Okay. Right, let's copy this line again. Tab that out. Okay. The user's age is more than equal to 21, and it's less than, well, life begins at 40, let's be generous here. 65, say pension age. Okay. Remember that we're going to have one line of code under there, so we don't need the braces here. So what's good about C++, you can copy and paste your lines and just change a couple of little things. So if they're between 21 and 65, they're going to be an adult, so we'll call that A there. Okay. But if they're not a baby, if they're not a teenager or a young adult, and if they're not an adult, then we've got one more possible explanation here. So let's copy the if statement again. If they are more than or equal to 66. And what's the oldest guy that's ever lived? I think it was 135. If he ever used our program, we can tell him, you know, we've got an answer for him. But if a user enters more than 135, we want to put some kind of error checking in. Okay, so let's copy this. So we're setting the person variable to an old person now. Here's a quick way of doing this. You can simply display you are a baby here, you can say you are a teenager here, you can say you are old here by using the cout. But for example, I'd like to get you used to the variables and make use of them so you can learn in the future. So okay, let's use the else command. So if they're not a baby, they are not a teenager, they are not a young adult, and they are not old, then that means they've either put an illegal value, maybe a letter, maybe saying they're 999 years old, but you know, we'll get around that, So we'll say X, for example. X is our character for an illegal entry. Okay then. Right, now we've opened some braces, we need to close them, and this is where the tabbing helps out here. You can see that we've opened one on the first tab, so we'll close one on the first tab. Open one there, close one there, open one here, close one here. And I think I've missed one there, yes I have. See, it gets really messy, but we can fix it. Okay. You can see in this last piece that else has one line under it, therefore it doesn't need one. If has one line under it, doesn't need one. So let's work our way backwards. We've ended one on there, look. Draw an imaginary line vertically. We've started one up there, so we'll end one there. Started one up there, so we'll end one there. So that is our code for determining what age they are. We'll soon find out if it actually works, but hopefully it will. Right then. So whatever the user's age is, it's actually setting the variable value to these values here. They're automatically babies, so we don't need one here. Then etc. for these. So we need another if statement saying that if person equals Y, then we've got to tell the user they are a youngster, or a word associating with the range of 5 to 20. So let's do that now. Okay, if person equals, okay, I'll describe this when I've finished this line. B, right. You may have used Visual Basic before, and you may have been used to using one single equals in if statements. But with C++, it's actually a double equals. When you're using more than, less than, equal to, that is the correct syntax here. But when you're actually comparing or checking a value, so we're checking here if person is B, it could be B, it couldn't be B, therefore we're checking. We use two equals characters here. If we are assigning, that means person holds the value of X, then we use a single equals like so. Okay, so if person equals B, we've got to tell the user they are a baby, so hi there. We can say you are a baby. Be very, very blunt about it. I'm sorry for my uncreative comments. Or we could be really great and put hi there, you are a baby, because because you are. Let's end our string. Because we're ending our string and going on to a variable, we use our two left arrows. There we go. Hi there, you are a baby because you are user's age. Remember, this variable holds the age of the user, so we can use it where we want. So it will say, hi there, you are a baby because you are X years old. Okay then. But if they're not a baby, obviously, then we've got to iron these out. Okay then. Remember, we've only put one line under the if statement, so we can use one line here. Okay, no sorry. We're holding all of it inside this, so we have to keep one here. It's been a late night, trust me. Okay. Right, as you can see, it might be a good idea to really use this one as a framework and paste it down and just change these, but I'll work my way through it. So, if person is not a baby and they are Y, which I think we used for teenager, we can copy this line here. Hi there, you are a teenager because you are X years old. Okay, the next line. We've got our else command. We open another brace. If the person is not a teenager but they are an adult, then we'll copy this line. Because they are an adult. Oh, there we go. Let's copy this down another one. As you can see, we've made a few repetitions, so let's make use of that repetition and copy it down. Don't forget to tab it back out so you know where you are. It can get a bit messy. So if they're not an adult, then if they are old, okay, you're an old person. I think that might offend them if they use your program. Okay, because you are users years old. Okay, this is our last cascading line of the if statement. When you have an if statement like this, it's called cascading. As you can see, the diagonal shaped flow along here. If you didn't use your tabs, it would be in one solid line and you might get lost of which else's belong to which groups, etc. As you can see, it's got a nice simple pattern to it. So let's go to the end of this line. Actually, let's minimize this window down a little bit so we can see a bit more code. Okay, else. So if they're not old, they'd be X, which we did put a value for. So if person is X, that's our little secret notation for them saying they're 900 years old or they've entered a character. So we're ironing out these errors, which is good. So let's see what message we can type there. Okay, I think you are lying because you are not user's age years old. And there we go. So remember now to end all our curly braces. The if statement inside here doesn't have one because it's only one line. We've got one there, so we'll put one here. Just make a little invisible vertical line as we did before. Okay. As you can see, it looks a bit messy, but you know, it's nice and tidy. We know where everything is. And you know, let's see how this runs. I've no idea if it's gonna run, but we'll soon find out. Look, we've got 2 errors. Let's try and find out what they are. Okay, illegal else without matching if. That means we've used an else and we haven't got an if to match up with it. I think it might be this here. Because we've got no line of code under the if, I don't think we will need a brace there. Okay, that looks okay to me. Because we've deleted that one up there, we wouldn't want that one there. Okay then, I think that might do it there. We'll try and run that, see how it goes. Oh, we've still got 2 errors. In the same place. Okay. So if the user's age is a baby, we don't want to do anything at all, we just want to else. Okay, yes. It's pointing to this here. As you can see, that's inside the else statement. One line there. If statement. Yes. Okay. I might have missed a semicolon somewhere. You know, it's when you run C++, you always run into little kind of errors like this, and you know, you don't know where you're going from here, and well, I think that looks perfectly right to me. I'm not quite sure why. Okay, let's just try that. Pretend we have a line of code in here. Let's make them a baby again. Okay. Right. If okay. So if the user's age is not 4, set the person to B. Otherwise, let's look in here. 5 to 20, set it to Y. Otherwise, let's look in here. Okay, I think that should run. I really do. I don't think that should be in there though. Okay, right, let's have a look. And there we go, finally. So when you're using cascading if statements like this, it's very easy to get confused on what you're using. Okay. What is your age? So 67. Hi there, you are an old person because you are 67 years old. You notice that it did say press a key to continue after the line, which we don't really want. So we'll have to edit that here. I apologise for that eBay item temporarily popping up. It wasn't scheduled, but hopefully I should win it. Okay, let's have a look. What is your age? 2. Hi there, you are a baby because you are 2 years old. Let's run it again. Let's put we are 999. I think you are lying because you are 999 years old. So, you know, test your program, put each boundary in. 15 with a young adult, yes, teenager. I think that's working okay now, so yes, there you go. So that is the coding just for a simple program like that. So let's have a little review. You're defining 2 variables, one is 0, one is B. We're asking the question, we're looking at a validation process, and we're validating our variables on what they are based on using the if statements, characters, and other syntax. So I apologise about the couple of errors, but as you can see, you've learnt from it. You know how to deal with the errors, and when you make any errors, you always will. It's highly impossible to make a full program with no errors first time. You'll know roughly how to deal with them from my experience just a second ago. So I'm Sean Greasley, thank you for listening to the 3rd tutorial in the collection, and I will see you later.